Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you once again. We are continuing the reading of the Path of Purification, Vishuddhimagga, the classical uh, Theravada Buddhist text that has relevance to all Buddhists, not just Theravada. So we are very grateful that uh, Buddhagosha has written such a voluminous text that we are able to learn from, and even more grateful to the Venerable Jnanamolika, the German monk who put great effort in translating this. So we have been very diligently reading through this, and all of you have been listening to this. So this reading, listening are very important, two of the 10 Dharma activities. So it's very good to have all of your company. So we will first of all tune up our motivation, the attention, intention, and making sure that we have this both attention and intention retained throughout the whole period as a form of mindfulness listening and therefore meditation. Thank you very much. We will do the refuge prayer and cultivation of the four immeasurable wholesome qualities of loving kindness, compassion, joyfulness, equanimity, after having renewed our refuge and renewed the bodhicitta. Oyenda Buddha Dharma Sangha Ajere Vede Ladem Vaje Ajendala Ajare Vada Vatuve Enda Buddha Dharma Sangha Ajere Vede Ladem Vaje Ajendala Ajare Vada Vatuve Enda Buddha Dharma Sangha Ajere Vede Ladem Vaje Ajendala Ajare Vada Vatuve. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and a cause of suffering. May they know a power of happiness that know no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and a cause of suffering. May they know a power of happiness that know no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment. May all beings have happiness, cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they know a power of happiness that know no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, and those never. According to the intelligence and bread position of it, the yajanda dharma agrel come Okay, thank you very much once again. As I said, so today is the second day of Sagadawa. So what a wonderful way to give our time in this auspicious month, recollecting the infinite qualities of Buddha and therefore listening to the teachings. So we're going to start on page 654, the paragraph 186. We are currently reading the second last chapter called Conclusion, which is a detailed teaching on the 12 links of interpersonation. And today we're starting with the fourth link, which is what we call name and form, but here the translate as a mentality and materiality, because the name, which is nama, is the mentality, and rupa is the form, it's a materiality. So it reads, For the close, with consciousness as condition, mentality and materiality, by analysis of mind and matter, occurrence of in becoming, etc., inclusion and the manner of condition, this exposition should be known. 1. By analysis of the mind and matter. Here, the mind, nama, material mentality, is the three aggregates, that is, feeling, perception, and formation, because of their bending on the object. Matter, rupa, materiality, is the four great primary elements, and the materiality derived from clinging from the four great primaries. The analysis given in the description of the aggregates, this is the first place in the first place is how exposition of mentality and materiality, nama form, should be known by analysis. 2. By occurrence in becoming, etc. Accepting one abode of being, that is, the non-percipient, mentality occurs in all kinds of becoming, generation, destiny, and station of consciousness. And in the remaining abodes of being, materiality occurs in two kinds of becoming, four kinds of generation, five destinies, the first four stations of consciousness, and first five abodes of being. Now, when this mentality and materiality of nama and rupa occurs, thus, then in the case of sexless embryo and egg-born, at the moment of their rebirth linking, they are manifested as materiality, two organic constituent, that is, two decades of physical basis and the body, and also the three immaterial aggregates. So, in the case there are indeed these 23 states, namely 20 states as concrete matter and three immaterial aggregates, which should be understood as a mentality materiality with consciousness as condition. But omitting repetitions and cancelling 9 material instances from one of the organs constituents, 14 states remain. By adding the sex decade of these possess of the sex before making the above cancellation, there are 33. And omitting repetition and so cancelling 18 material instances, 9 each, from 2 of the organic constituents, in this case 15 states remain. But at the moment of rebirth linking of those of Brahma's retinue, among apparitionally born beings, 4 organic continuities are manifested as materiality, that is the decades of eye, ear, and physical basis, and the innate of the life faculty, and 3 immaterial aggregates. So, in their case, detail these 42 states, namely 39 states, as concrete materiality, and 3 immaterial aggregates should be understood as mentality materiality with consciousness as condition. But omitting repetitions and so cancelling 27 instances of materiality, 9 each, from 3 of the organic constituents, 15 states remain. In the sense sphere, becoming 7 organic constituents are manifested as materiality, and also 3 material aggregates at the moment of rebirth linking of the remaining kinds of apparitional born, or the moisture born possessing sex and a mature sense basis. So, in their case, in detail, these 73 states, namely 70 instances of a concrete materiality and 3 immaterial aggregates, should be understood as mentality materiality with formations as condition, but omitting repetition and so cancelling 54 material instances, 9 each, from 6 of the organic constituents, 19 states remain. This is the maximum. But At a minimum, the computation of mentality materiality with consciousness as a condition in the rebirth linking of those who lack such and such in an organic continuity can be understood in brief and detail by reducing it appropriately. The blind, for instance, lack the eye decad. For mentality materiality, immateriality beings have only the three mental aggregates, while non-appercipient beings have only the life faculty in it, and that represent materiality. In the course of an existence, in all places where materiality occurs, there is manifested in temperature originated bare material octad, which is due initially to the temperature that occurred together with the rebirth linking consciousness at the moment of its presence. Rebirth linking consciousness does not originate materiality. For just as a man who is falling into the chasm cannot support another, so it too is unable to originate materiality because of its weakness, which is due to the weakness of the physical basis. But from the first life continuum, after the rebirth linking consciousness onwards, the bare octad originated by consciousness appears, and that at that time when sound becomes manifest, there is the sound enad due to both temperature and occurring after a moment of rebirth linking and to consciousness. The bare octad originated by nutriment appears in beings in the womb who live in matter consisting of the physical nutriment as soon as their body is suffused by nutriment swallowed by mother, for it is said, and so it is that when his mother eats consuming food and drink, one hidden in the mother's womb therein obtains his nourishment. And it appears in apparitionally born beings as soon as they first swallow the spittle that has come into their own mouth. So, with the 26 material instances consisting of the bare octad originated by nutriment and of the at most two sound enads originated respectively by temperature and consciousness, and also with the already mentioned 70 karma originated instances that arise 3 times in each consciousness moment at the instance of arising, presence, and dissolution. There are thus 96 material instances, and with 3 material progress, there is thus a totality of 99 states. Or because sound is not regularly present, since it is only sometimes manifested, subtracting it, therefore, as twofold, being temperature originated and consciousness originated, there are these 97 states to be understood as mentality materiality, with consciousness as condition in all beings, according to as it happens to be produced. For whether these beings are sleeping or idling or eating or drinking, these states keep on occurring in them day and night with consciousness as a condition. And we shall explain later how they have consciousness as their condition. Now, although this karma-born materiality is the first to find a footing in the several kinds of becoming, the generation, destiny, station of consciousness, and abode of beings, it is nevertheless unable to carry on without being consolidated by materiality, by triple origination, by consciousness, temperature, and nutriment. Nor can that of the triple origination do so without being consolidated by the former. But when they thus give consolidating support to each other, they can stand up without falling, like sheaves of reeds propped together on all 4 sides, even though battered by the wind, and like boats with broken floats that have found a support, even though battered by the waves somewhat in mid-ocean, and they can last 1 year, 2 years, 100 years, until those beings' lifespan and their merit is exhausted. This is how the exposition should be understood here by occurrence in becoming, etc. Number 3, by inclusion. Now there is a simple mentality and consciousness as condition in both the course of an existence and rebirth linking in material sphere, and in the course of an existence in the 5 constituent becoming, and B, the simple materiality and consciousness as a condition in both cases among the non-percipient, and the cause of an existence of a 5 constituent becoming, and combined mentality materiality with consciousness as condition in both cases in the 5 constituent becoming. All that mentality and materiality and mentality materiality should be understood as mentality materiality with consciousness as condition, including them under mentality materiality according to the method that allows any one part to represent any remaining one of its kind. Is this correct in view of absence of consciousness in non-percipient beings? It is not correct. For the consciousness as cause of mind and matter is twice reckoned, result and also not result, hence wherefore there is correctly said. The consciousness that is the cause of mentality materiality is reckoned to be twofold class as resultant and non-resultant. And since it is the case of non-percipient beings, materiality is originated by karma. It has as its condition karma formation, a consciousness that occurred in the 5 constituent becoming. This applies also to the karma originate materiality arising in the course of an existence in the 5 constituent becoming at the moment profitable or any other consciousness. So this is correct. This is how the exposition can also be known here by inclusion. Number 4, by manner of condition. Here, resultant consciousness conditions mentality first in 9 ways, then basis matter in 9 ways, and then other matters in 8 ways. Formation consciousness conditions this matter in a single way, the rest of consciousness conditions this matter as the case may be. The rebirth linking or some other kind of resultant consciousness is conditioned in 9 ways as connaissance, mutuality, support, association, karma, result, nutriment, faculty, presence, and non-disappearance conditions, either at rebirth linking or in a course of existence, for that mentality called resultant, whether mixed with the materiality or not. At rebirth linking, it is conditioned in 9 ways as connaissance, mutuality, support, karma, result, nutriment, faculty, dissolution, presence, and non-disappearance conditions for the materiality of the physical heat basis. It is a condition in 8 ways, namely as the above condition, omitting the mutuality condition for materiality other than materiality of the physical basis. The karma formation consciousness is a condition in 1 way only, a decisive support condition for the materiality of non-percipient beings or for the karma-born materiality in 5 constituent becoming according to the Sutanta method. All the remaining conditions of consciousness from the time of first life continuum consciousness following rebirth, linking onwards, should be understood as a condition for some kind of mentality materiality as appropriate. But since the whole content of the patthana must be cited in order to show how it acts in detail, we do not undertake that. Here it may be asked, but how is it to be known that the mentality materiality of rebirth linking has consciousness as its condition from suttas and from logic? For in the suttas it is established in many places that feeling, etc., have consciousness as condition in the way of beginning states with parallel occurrence through consciousness. But as a logic, from matter seen here to be born of consciousness, a man can tell that consciousness is a condition, the matter when unseen as well. Whether consciousness likes it or not, certain material instances are seen are seen as to arise in conformity with it, and the unseen is inferred from the seen. So it can be known by means of consciousness-born materiality that is seen, that consciousness is also a condition for the unseen materiality of rebirth linking. For it is said in the Pratana that like the consciousness originated, also the karma originated has consciousness as its condition. This is how the exposition should be known by manner of condition. This is the detailed explanation of the clause by consciousness a condition, mentality, materiality. Number 5, sixfold base. Sixfold base means sense organs. Now the 5th link. As to the clause with the mentality, material as condition, the sixfold base, 3 aggregates are mind, the basis, the primaries, and the rest are matter. And while all that conditions, this part can represent the rest. In the case of the mentality materiality, there is here a condition for the sixfold base. Mentality is the 3 aggregates, beginning with the feeling, while materiality should be understood as that include in the one's own continuity, stated thus primaries, and the rest are matter. That is to say, the 4 primaries are 6 physical bases and life faculties, since they are conditioned factors invariably. But this mentality and materiality each one representing the rest as mentality, materiality, should be understood as the condition for the sixfold base, consisting of the 6th base and sixfold base, each one representing the rest as the sixfold base. Why? Because in the immaterial becoming, there is only mentality as condition, and that is a condition only for the sixth base, namely the mind base, not for any other. For it is said that the Vivanga, in the Vivanga, with the mentality as condition, 6th base. Here, it may be asked, but how is it to be known that mentality, materiality is a condition for the sixfold base? Because the latter exists when mentality, materiality exists. For a given base exists when a given kind of mentality, materiality exists, not otherwise. By the way in which the one comes to exist when the other does will be explained below in the section dealing with how it is a condition. Therefore, a wise man should contrive to tell which one conditions which and how at rebirth and in life as well. The explanation follows now. Here, what follows illustrate the meaning. Mentality as a condition. In immaterial rebirth and life, the mind alone will come in 7 ways and 6 to be conditioned at the minimum. How? In rebirth linking, first, mentality is conditioned in 7 ways at the minimum, as connaissance, mutuality, support, association, karma result, presence, and non-disappearance conditions for the 6th base. Some mentality, however, is a condition as a root cause condition, that is greed, etc., and some as a nutriment condition, that in contact and in mental volition. So it is also a condition in other ways. It is by the 2 latter that the maximum and minimum should be understood. In the course of an existence too, result mentality is a condition as already stated, but the other non-resultant kind is a condition in 6 ways at result at minimum as the aforesaid condition except for karma result condition. Some, however, is a condition as root cause condition, and some as a nutriment condition. So it is also a condition in other ways. It is by these that the maximum and minimum should be understood. In 5 constituent becoming, at rebirth, mind in the same ways act as condition for the 6th, and for the other 6 ways. Besides the immaterial states, also, in the five constituent becoming that resultant mentality in association with the heart basis is a condition for in 7 ways at the minimum, and 6 the mind base, and the same as was said with respect to the immaterial states. But in association with the 4 primary elements, it is conditioned in 6 ways, as a connaissance, support, karma result, dissociation, presence, and non-disappearance are conditions for the other 5, beginning with I base. Some, however, is a condition as a root cause condition, and some as a nutriment condition. It is by these that the maximum and minimum should be understood. Result is for result condition during our life in the same ways, while non-result is non-resultant 6 condition in 6 ways. 4. As in rebirth linking, so also in the course of an existence, in the 5 constituent becoming, resultant mentality is conditioned in 7 ways at minimum for the result 6 ways. But non-resultant mentality is the condition in 6 ways at maximum as minimum for the non-resultant 6th base, leaving out karma result condition. The maximum and minimum result should be understood in the way already stated. And during life, resultant conditions, the other 5 in 4-fold way. The non-resultant can be explained in the aforesaid way. Again, in the course of an existence, the other resultant mentality, which has as its physical basis the eye sensitivity, etc., is a condition in 4 ways: as post-nascence, dissociation, presence, and non-disappearance conditions for the rest of the 5 beginning with I base. And as a resultant, so also the non-resultant is explained. Therefore, the mentality class as profitable, etc., should be understood as their condition in 4 ways. Firstly is how it should be understood, what base mentality alone is a condition for the rebirth linking, and in the course of an existence, and how it is conditioned. B. Materiality as a condition. Not even for a single base, immaterial becoming is matter or condition here. But in 5 aggregates becoming, basis as matter is condition, as rebirth is the 6-4 ways. For the 6th base, the primaries are the 5 in 4-4 ways. As a matter, the materiality of a physical heart basis is a condition in rebirth linking in 6 ways, as connaissance, mutuality, support, dissociation, presence, and non-disappearance condition for the 6th mind base. But the 4 primaries are general, in that is to say, the rebirth linking and the course of an existent condition in 4 ways, as connaissance, support, presence, and non-disappearance conditions for any of the 5 bases beginning with I, beginning with I, etc., whenever they arise. Life and in lifetime, food as well, conditions the 5 in 3-fold way. These 5, the 6th in 6-fold way, bases the 6th in 5-fold way. But in rebirth linking and in the course of an existence, the material life is a condition in 3 ways, as presence, non-disappearance, and faculty conditions for these 5 beginnings with I. Nutriment too is a condition in 3 ways: the presence, non-disappearance, and nutriment conditions. That is so in the course of an existence, not in rebirth linking, and applies when the bodies of beings subsisting on nutriment are suffused with nutriment. In the course of an existence, not in rebirth linking, those 5 bases beginning with I are conditioned in 6 ways, as support, prenescence, faculty, dissociation, presence, and non-disappearance condition for that part of 6th, the mind base comprising eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, consciousness. But in the course of the six of an existence, not a rebirth linking, materiality of the heart basis is a condition in 5 ways: as support, prenescence, dissociation, presence, and non-disappearance conditions for the remaining mind base apart from the 5 consciousness. This is how it should be understood, what basis materiality alone is conditioned for in rebirth linking, and in the course of an existence, how it is conditioned. Mentality materially as a condition. Which mind come matter combination is a condition for which kind, and how it is so in each case, a wise man should now seek to find. For example, firstly, the rebirth linking in the 5 constituents becoming the mentality materiality, and in other words, trio of aggregates with the materiality of that heart basis is conditioned as a connaissance, mutuality, support, karma result, association, dissociation, presence, and non-disappearance condition, etc. For the 6th, the mind base. This is merely the heading, but since it can all be construed in the way already stated, the detail is not given here. This is the detailed explanation of the clause with mentality materiality as condition, the 6-fold base. Now the 6th, the contact. As to the clause with the 6-fold base as condition, contact is briefly of 6 kinds, with eye contact and others too. According to each consciousness, it is detail 32. Briefly, with the clause with the 6-fold base as condition contact, there are only 6 kinds of beginning with eye contact. That is eye contact, ear contact, nose contact, sense, tongue contact, body contact, and mind contact. But in detail, the 5 profitable resultant of the 5 unprofitable resultant beginning with eye contact makes 10. The rest, which are associated with 22 kinds of mundane resultant consciousness, makes 22. So all these come to 32, like the consciousness with formation as condition given above. But as to the 6-fold base, that is the condition for 32-fold contact herein, since wise men take the 6-fold base to be 5 internal base, with the 6th, but others count these plus the 6 external bases. Herein, firstly, there are those who take this to be an exposition on the occurrence of what is clung to, that is karmically acquired aggregates, that they maintain that that conditioning base and the conditionally arisen contact are only that is concluded in one's own continuity. They take one part to represent any remaining one of its kind, since the condition for contact in the immaterial states is the 6th base only, according to the text with the 6-fold base as condition, contact, and elsewhere it is the 6-fold base inclusively. So they have it that 6-fold base means the internal 5 beginning with I plus the 6th base. For the 6th base and the 6-fold base are style 6-fold base. But there are those who maintain that it is only the conditionally arisen contact that is contained in a single continuity, while the conditioning base are contained in continuity, while the conditioning base contained in the separate, that is sparse, constitute as well. They maintain that all and any such bases are a condition for contact, and they include the 6 external bases, 6 external ones. So they have it that a 6-fold base means the same internal 5 plus the 6th plus the external ones beginning with the visible data. For that 6th base and that partial 6-fold base in the 6th-fold base, along with these external ones, each representing rest as style 6-fold base too. Here it may be asked, one kind of contact does not derive from all the bases, not all kinds of contact from one base. And yet, with the sixfold base as condition, contact is said to be singular. Why is that? Here is the answer. It is true that neither one is derived from all, nor all from one. However, one is derived from many. For eye contact is derived from the eye base, from the visible data base, from the mind base, reckoned and as eye consciousness, and from the mental, the mental datum base, consisting of the remaining associated states, associated age, and each one case should be construed as appropriate in this way. Therefore, though stated in the singular, he shows therewith in all such cases that this contact, though only one, is yet derived from several bases. Though stated in the singular, the meaning is by this statement in the singular that with the sixfold base as condition contact, it is pointed out by the blessed one that contact, which is one kind, comes into being from many bases. How the sixfold base is conditioned for contact. But as regard to these bases, 5 in 6 ways, and after that 1 in 9 ways, 6 as contact conditionality according to each case we fix. Here is the explanation. Firstly, the 5 consisting of the 5 eye base, etc., are conditioned in 6 ways as support, as prenescence, faculty, dissociation, presence, and non-disappearance conditions. For contact classed in 5 ways, eye contact, and so on. After that, single resultant mind base is conditioned in 9 ways as connaissance, mutuality, support, result, nutriment, faculty, association, presence, and non-disappearance, conditions for the variously classed resultant mind contact. But in the case of the external bases, the visible data base is a condition in 4 ways as object, or prenescence, presence, and non-disappearance condition for eye contact. Likewise, sound base, etc., respectively for ear contact, and so on. But these and mental data as conditions, as objects are conditioned likewise, and as object conditions too, for mind contact. So the external basics and contact conditionality accord to each case we fix. This is the detailed explanation of the clause with the sixfold base as a condition contact. Number 7, feeling. As to the clause with the contact as condition feelings when named by way of door, eye contact, born, and all the rest are only 6. But when they are at 9 and 80 sorts assess. In the analysis of this clause, Vivanga, the only 6 kinds of feeling according to doors are given, thus eye contact, born feeling, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, contact, born feeling. Still, when classed according to the association with 89 kinds of consciousness, there are at 9 and 80 sorts assessed. But from the 9 and 80 feelings, 32 no more appear associated with result, and only those are mentioned herein contact in the 5 doors, condition 5 as first eightfold way and single way, and the rest it acts the mind door in the same way. Herein, the 5 doorway contact, beginning with eye contact, is a condition for 8 ways, as connaissance, mutuality, support, result, nutriment, association, presence, and non-disappearance condition. For the 5 kinds of feeling that have especially eye sensitivity, etc., as their individual basis. But the contact beginning with eye contact is a condition in one way only, as decisive support condition. For the rest of the resultant feeling is the sense sphere occurring in each door as receiving, investigation, and registration. In the mind door, it is same way. The contact called connaissance, mind contact, is also are conditioned in the same 8 ways for a sense sphere resultant feeling occurring as registration in the mind door, and so also for the kinds of resultant feeling in the 3 planes occurring with rebirth linking, life continuum, and death. But the mind contact association with the mind door advertising as a condition in one way only is a decisive support condition for kinds of feeling that occur in mind door as registration in the sense sphere. This is the detailed explanation of the clause with contact as condition feeling. Number 8, craving. As regards to the clause with feeling as condition craving, 6 cravings for things visible and all the rest are treated here, and each of these, where it occurs, can in one of the 3 modes appear. 6 kinds of craving are shown in the analysis of these 6 in this clause in the Vivanga. The visible data, craving, sound, odor, flavor, tangible data, mental data, craving, called after their object, or as a son is called after called after his father, banker's son, a Brahmin son. Each of these 6 kinds of craving is reckoned threefold according to its mode of occurrence, as craving for sense desires, craving for becoming, and craving for non-becoming. When visible data craving occurs, enjoying with sense desire enjoyment, a visible datum as object that has come into focus of the eye, it is called craving for sense desire. But when that sense visible data craving occurs along with the eternity view, that assumes the same object to be lasting and external, it is called craving for becoming. For it is the greed accompanying eternity view that it is called craving for becoming. When it occurs along with annihilation view, that it assumes that some object to break up and be destroyed, is called craving for non-becoming. It is the greed accompanying the annihilation view that it is called craving for non-becoming. And so also in the case of craving for sounds and so on. These amount to 18 kinds of craving. The 18 with respect to one's own visible data, one's own appearance, and the 18 with respect to external visible data and others' appearance, etc., together make 36 kinds. 36 in the past, 36 in the future, and 36 in the present make 108 kinds of craving. When they are reduced again, it should be understood amount to 6 kinds only with the visible data, etc., as object, and these 3 only, the craving of sense desires and so on. Out of selfish affection of feeling after taking pleasure in it, when it arises through a visible datum as object, etc., these beings accord much honor to painters, musicians, perfumers, cooks, weavers, distillers of elixirs, physicians, etc., who furnish respectively visible data as object, etc., just as out of affection for a child, they reward the child nurse after taking pleasure within the child. That is why it should be understood that these 3 kinds of craving have feeling as their condition. What is intended here is but resultant pleasant feeling, hence it is a condition in one way for all these craving occurrences. In one way, it is a condition as decisive support condition only. Or alternately, man in pain for pleasure longs, and finding pleasure longs for more. The peace of equanimity is counted pleasure too. Therefore, generate the greatest sage announced the law with feeling as condition, craving. Since all these feelings thus can be conditioned for all kinds of craving, though feeling is conditioned, still without inherent tendency, no craving can arise, and so from this the perfect saint is free. This is the detailed explanation of the clause with feeling as condition, craving. 9. Clinging. As regard the clause with craving as condition clinging, for clinging need to be explained as to analysis of the meaning, as to brief and the full account of states, and also as to the order. Herein, this is the explanation. Firstly, there are these four kinds of clinging here, namely sense desire clinging, view clinging, rite and ritual clinging, and self-doctrine clinging. The first, analysis of meaning, is this. It clings to the kind of sense desire called sense desire's physical object. Thus, it is sense desire clinging, and also it is a sense desire and it is clinging, thus it is sense desire clinging. Clinging is firm grasping, for here the prefix upa has the sense of firmness, as in the upayasha, great misery, and the upakuta, the great and so on. Likewise, it is view that is clinging, thus it is a false view clinging. It clings to false view, thus it is false view clinging, for it is the case of false view. The world in itself is self and eternal, etc. It is latter kind of view that clings to the former. Likewise, it clings to rite and ritual, thus it is rite and ritual clinging. Also, it is rite and ritual and its clinging. This is rite and ritual clinging for ox asceticism, ox cows, and so on, etc., are themselves kind of clinging too, because of the misinterpretation insistent that purification comes from this way. Likewise, they indoctrinate by means of that, thus that is the doctrine. They cling by means of that, thus that is clinging. What do they indoctrinate with? What do they cling to? Self. The clinging to doctrine of self is self-doctrine clinging. Or by means of that, they cling to self, that is mere doctrine of self. Thus, that is self-doctrine clinging. This, firstly, is the analysis of the meaning. 2. But as regards to brief and full account of the states, firstly, in brief, sense desire clinging is called firmness in clinging, since it is said herein what is sense desire clinging. That which is the case, sense desire is lust for sense desire, greed for sense desire, delight for sense desire, craving for sense desire, fever for sense desire, infatuation for sense desire, committal to sense desire. That is called sense desire clinging. Firmness of clinging is a name for the subsequent craving itself, which has become firm by the influence of previous craving, which act as its decisive support condition. But some have said craving is the aspiring to an object that one has not yet reached. Like a thief stretching out his hand in the dark, clinging is the grasping of an object that one has reached, like the thief grasping his objective. These states oppose newness, fewness of wishes, and content, and so they are the roots of suffering due to seeking and guarding. The remaining three kinds of clinging are, in brief, simply the view, false view. In detail, however, the sense desire clinging in the firm states of the craving described above as 108 kinds of with respect to visible data and so on. False view clinging in the 10 base wrong view, according as it is said herein, what is false view clinging? There is no giving, no offering, no good or virtuous ascetics, Brahmins who have themselves realized by direct knowledge and declare this world and the other such view as these. Such perverse assumptions is called false view clinging. Rites and ritual clinging is the adherence to view that purification comes through rites and rituals, according as it is said herein. What is the rite and ritual clinging? That purification comes through rite, that purification comes through ritual, that purification comes through rite and ritual, such as these. Such perverse assumption is called rite and ritual clinging. Self-doctrine clinging is the 20 base false views of individual, according as it is said. Herein, what is the self-doctrine clinging? Here the untaught, ordinary, unrestrained is in good man's doctrine, sees materiality of self, such as perverse assumption is called self-doctrine clinging. This is the brief and full accounts of state. 3. As to the order, here order is threefold. That is to say, order of arising, order of abandoning, and order of teaching. Here, the order of arising of defilements is not meant literally, because there is no first arising of defilements in the beginning, less round of rebirth. But in a relative sense, it is thus. Usually in a single becoming, the misinterpretation of insistence of eternity and annihilation are preceded by the assumption of a self. After that, when a man assumes that this self is eternal, rites and ritual clinging arises in him for the purpose of purifying the self. And when a man assumes that it breaks up, thus disregarding the next world, sense desire clinging arises him. So self-doctrine clinging arises first, and then after that false view clinging and the right ritual clinging or sense desire clinging. This then is their order of arising in one becoming. And here, the false view clinging, etc., abandoned first because they are eliminated by the path of stream entry, since desire clinging is abandoned later because it is eliminated by the path of arahantship. This is the order of their abandoning. Sense desire clinging, however, is taught first among them because of the breadth of its objective field, because of its obviousness. For it has a broad objective field, because it is associated with 8 kinds of consciousness. The others have a narrow objective field, because they are associated with 4 kinds of consciousness. And usually it is sense desire clinging, and that is obvious becoming of the generation love of attachment, not to the other kind. One possessed of sense desire clinging is much given to display and ceremony for the purpose of attaining sense desires. False view clinging comes first to the sense desire clinging, since the display of the ceremony is a false view of this, and that is then divided in two as the right and ritual clinging and self-doctrine clinging. And of these two, right and ritual clinging is taught first, being gross, because it can be recognized as seeing it in the form of ox practice or dog practice, and self-doctrine clinging is taught last because of its subtlety. This is the order of teaching. How craving is a condition for clinging. For the first in single way, but for the 3 remaining kinds in 7-fold or 8-fold way. As regards to the 4 kinds of clinging taught in this way, craving for the sense desire is conditioned in a way as decisive support for the first kind, namely sense desire clinging, because it arises in relation to the objective field in which craving delights. But it is conditioned in 7 ways, as connaissance, mutuality, support, association, presence, non-disappearance as a root cause, or in 8 ways, those in decisive support as well, for the remaining 3 kinds. And when it is a condition as decisive support, then it is never connaissance. This is the detailed explanation of the clause with craving as condition clinging. Number 10, becoming. As to the clause with clinging as condition becoming, as to the meaning, as to the states, purpose, analysis, synthesis, and which becomes condition, the exposition should be known. Herein it becomes bhavati, because thus it is becoming, bhava. It is twofold. the karma process becoming and the rebirth process becoming. According as it is said, becoming in two ways. There is karma process becoming and there is a rebirth process becoming. Herein, the karma process becoming itself is the becoming, is karma process becoming. Likewise, the rebirth processing itself is the becoming, is the rebirth process becoming. And here, rebirth is becoming since it becomes. But just as the arising of the Buddha is bliss, is said because it causes bliss, so too karma should be understood as a becoming, using for it in ordinary term for it is its fruit, since it causes becoming. This firstly is the cause how the exposition should be known as here as to meaning. As to the state, firstly, karma process becoming in brief is both volition and the state of covetousness, etc., also associated with the volition and reckoned as karma too, according as it is said. Herein, what is karma process becoming? The formation of merit, formation of demerit, the formation of imperturbable, either with a small, limited plane or with a large, exalted plane, that is called karma process becoming. Also, all karma that leads to becoming is called karma process becoming. Here, the formation of merit is, in terms of state, the 13 kinds of volition. The formation of demerit is the 12 kinds, and the formation of imperturbable is 4 kinds. So, with the words either with or small, plane, or with a large exalted plane, the insignificance of or magnitude of these same volitions result is expressed here. But with the words also, all karma that leads to becoming and covetousness, etc., associated with volition are expressed. Rebirth process becoming briefly is aggregates generated by karma. It is 9 kinds, according as it is said. Herein, what is rebirth process becoming? Sense desire becoming, fine material becoming, immaterial becoming, percipient becoming, non-percipient becoming, neither percipient nor percipient becoming, 1 constituent becoming, 4 constituent becoming, 5 constituent becoming. This is called rebirth process becoming. Herein, the kind of becoming called having sense desires is sense desire becoming. Similarly, with the fine immaterial and immaterial kinds is of becoming. It is becoming of these possess of perception, or there is perception herein becoming, thus it is percipient becoming. The opposite kind is non-percipient becoming, owing to the absence of the gross perception and to the presence of the subtle perception. There is neither perception nor non-perception is that kind of becoming. Thus, it is neither percipient nor percipient becoming. It is becoming constituted out of the materiality aggregate only. Thus, it is 1 constituent becoming, or that kind of becoming has only 1 constituent, the materiality aggregate or dimension. Thus, it is 1 constituent becoming, and similarly, the 4 constituent has the 4 mental aggregates or dimensions, and the 5 constituent has the material and 4 mental aggregates or dimensions. Herein, sense desire becoming is 5 aggregates acquired through karma, cling to us. Likewise, the fine material becoming, the immaterial becoming is 4, percipient becoming is 4 and 5, non-percipient becoming is 1 aggregate that is acquired through karma. Neither percipient nor percipient becoming is 4. 1 constituent becoming, etc., are respectively 1, 4, and 5 aggregates as aggregates that are required through karma. This is how exposition should be known here as to state. Third, as to purpose. Although the formation of merit, etc., are of course dealt with the same way in the description of becoming and the description of formation, and nevertheless, the repetition has a purpose. For in the former case, it has because it was a condition. In the past karma, for rebirth linking here for in the becoming, while it is latter case, it is because it is a condition. At present, karma for rebirth linking and the future becoming, or alternatively in the former instance, in the passage beginning herein, what is the formation of merit, it is profitable volition of the sense sphere. It was only volition that are called formation. But here, with the words, all karma and that leads to becoming, the state associated with the volition are also included, and in the former instances it was only such karmas as is the condition for consciousness that was called for formation. But now also that which generates non-percipient becoming is included. But why so many words? In the clause, with ignorance as condition, they are formation only. Profitable and unprofitable states are expressed as the formation of merit, etc. But in the clause, with clinging as a condition, becoming profitable and unprofitable, and also functional states are expressed because in the inclusion of rebirth process becoming. So this repetition has a purpose in each case. This is how exposition should be known as to purpose here. 4. As to analysis, synthesis means as to both the analysis and the synthesis of becoming that has clinging as its condition. The karma and karma with sense desire clinging as its condition that is performed and generates sense desire becoming is karma process becoming. The aggregate generated by that are rebirth process becoming. Similarly, in the case of fine material, immaterial becoming, so there are two kinds of sense desire becoming, with sense desire clinging as condition, included in which are percipient becoming and the five constituent becoming. And there are two kinds of fine material becoming, included in which are percipient, non-percipient, one constituent, five constituent becoming. And there are two kinds of immaterial becoming, included in which are percipient becoming, and neither percipient and no non-percipient becoming, and four constituent becoming. So, together with what is included in them, there are six kinds of becoming with sense desire clinging to condition, clinging as condition. Similarly, too, with the three remaining kinds of clinging as condition, so as to analysis, there are together what is included by them 24 kinds of becoming with clinging as condition. Number 5 is to synthesis. However, by uniting karma process becoming and rebirth process becoming, there is together with what is included by it one kind of sense desire becoming with sense desire clinging by its condition. Similarly, with the fine material and immaterial becoming, so there are three kinds of becoming. And similarly, with the remaining three kinds of clinging as condition. So by synthesis, they are together with what is included by them, 12 kinds of becoming with clinging as condition. Furthermore, without distinction with karma, with clinging as its condition, that attains a sense desire becoming is karma process becoming. The aggregate generated by that are rebirth process becoming. Similarly, in the fine material and immaterial becoming, so together with what is included by then, there are two kinds of sense desire becoming, two kinds of fine material becoming, two kinds of immaterial becoming. So by synthesis, there are six kinds of becoming by this other method. Or again, without making the distinction of karma process becoming and rebirth process becoming, there are together what is included them three kinds of becoming as sense desire becoming and so on. Or again, without making division into the sense desire becoming, etc., they are together with what is included by the two kinds of becoming as karma process becoming, rebirth process becoming. And also, without making the distinction into karma and the rebirth process, there is, according to words, with clinging as condition becoming, only one kind of becoming. This is how the exposition of becoming with clinging as condition should be known as here as to analysis and synthesis. 6. For which becomes a condition means that here the exposition should be known according to what kinds of clinging is a condition for what kind of becoming. But what is condition for what is here? Any kind of condition for any kind. For the ordinary man is like madman, and without considering, is this right or wrong, and aspiring by means of any of the kinds of clinging as to any kinds of becoming, and performs any kinds of karma. Therefore, when some say that the fine material and immaterial kinds of becoming do not come about through right and ritual clinging, that should not be accepted. And that should be accepted is that all kinds come about through all kinds. For example, someone thinks in accordance with the heresy or false view that sense desire come to be fulfilled in the human world among the great warriors, families, etc., in the sixth divine world of the sixth sphere. Misled by listening to wrong doctrine, etc., and imagining that by this karma sense desire will come to be fulfilled, he performs for the purpose of attaining them acts of bodily misconduct, etc., through sense desire clinging. By clinging such misconduct, here he is born in the states of loss. Or he performs acts of bodily misconduct, etc., aspiring to sense desire visible here, and now protecting those he has already acquired. By fulfilling such misconduct, he is reborn in the states of loss. The karma that is the cause of rebirth, here there is karma process becoming. The aggregate generated by the karma are rebirth process becoming, but percipient becoming and five constituent becoming are included in that too. Another, however, whose knowledge has been intensified by listening to good Dhamma and so on, imagine that by this kind of karma, sense desire will come to be fulfilled. He performs acts of bodily good conduct, etc., through sense desire clinging. By fulfilling such bodily good conduct, he is reborn among deities and human beings. The karma that is cause of rebirth, there is karma process becoming. The aggregate generated by the karma are rebirth process becoming. But percipient becoming and five constituent becoming are included in that too. So sense desire clinging is a condition for sense desire becoming with the analysis and its synthesis. Another hears or conjectures that sense desire comes to still greater perfection in the fine material and immaterial kinds of becoming, and through sense desire clinging he produces fine material and immaterial attainments, and in virtue of his attainment he is reborn in the fine material and immaterial Brahma world. The karma that is cause of his rebirth, there is karma process becoming. The aggregate generated by the karma are rebirth process becoming, but percipient and non-percipient, neither percipient and becoming, and but percipient and non-percipient, neither percipient nor non-percipient, one constituent, four constituent, five constituent kinds of becoming are included in that too. Thus, sense desire clinging is a condition for fine immaterial and material becoming with its analysis and its synthesis. Another clings to the annihilation view. Thus, this self comes to be entirely cut off when it is cut off from in the fortunate states of sense sphere, or in the fine material and immaterial kinds of becoming, and he performs karma to achieve that. His karma is karma process becoming. The aggregate generated by the karma are rebirth process becoming. That percipient, etc., kinds of becoming are included in that too. So, false view clinging is conditioned for all three, namely for the sense desire, fine material, immaterial kinds of becoming, with their analysis and their synthesis. Through self-theory clinging things, this self comes to be blissful or comes to be free from fever in the beginning, in the fortunate states in the sense sphere, or in one or another of the fine material or immaterial kinds of becoming, and he performs karma to achieve that.
That karma of his is karma process becoming. The aggregate generated by the karma are rebirth process becoming, but the precipient, etc., kinds of becoming are included in that too. Thus, this self-theory of clinging is a condition for all three, namely becoming with their analysis and synthesis. And other things, though, through rites and ritual clinging, the rites and ritual leads him, which perfects into a perfect bliss in becoming the fortunate states of sense sphere, and in a fine material, immaterial kinds of becoming, he performs karma to achieve that. That karma of his is karma process becoming. The aggregate generated by the karma are rebirth process becoming, but the recipient kinds, etc., kinds of becoming are included in that too. So, rite and ritual in conditions in a condition in all three, namely the sense desire, fine material, immaterial kinds of becoming with the analysis and the synthesis. This is how the exposition should be known, according to which is condition for which. Thank you. We'll stop there. Thank you. So we'll do the dedication merits, everyone. Thank you for listening. This detailed exposition on the 12 links of interdependent origination from Vishuddhimagga. Om Badis Mere Meve Havaga Dadiva Menzage Honeze Meale Bere Robe Brondi Ajana Bado Desine Erenda Maya Nadije Whatever Merit I have Meho Begas Delevers Jehoda Mahayana Jije Courage Manju Shinyode as a man Jabararilawa following the example I shall dig the mere the excellent body to the table where it has been born made freely without generous.